Hello, I'm Dr. Roger Bromé, and welcome to Psych Clips. Today, I'm going to talk about behavioral controls, and these behavioral controls are really about managing your own behavior rather than last time I talked more about managing environmental controls, or sort of like the your lifestyle scheduling and those kind of things. If you like site clips and things that I'm doing here help, please subscribe and hit the bell. Like and share the video if you think it will benefit other people. And you can always visit my website at phenomenalmindpsychology.com. So in behavioral controls, when we start looking at those things that will kind of unhinge a training session or a competition, they can be a lot of different things. And the first thing I want to talk about is your plan. So if you have a pretty clear plan on your competition day about what kind of warm up you're going to be able to do, what kind of openers you're going to have, and that's all scripted out. Then the other thing that you need to start considering within that plan is the what ifs, the contingency plan. If the warm up doesn't go like you thought it was going to be, you need to know within the rule book when you can change opener numbers. What's the last moment you can do that? What's the rules about changing attempts altogether? And also, what you're going to do if you don't have the ability to warm up the way that you always warm up. So, I'll give you an example. In my last competition, I was doing a bench only competition, and I got to the warm up room and I found that the racks that I had to warm up on would either be setting the bar too high for me, where I'd have to unhinge my shoulders to get the bar out of the rack, which is not good for me wearing a single ply bench press shirt, or it would be too low to where it was setting too low, and I would almost have to do a 3/4 rep, or a top end rep, like a rack lockout, to get it out with my shoulders not in the best position for that. So I started looking around. And I think, what can I do to warm up and get ready for my first attempt, um, without being able to actually get a close approximate full range rep in my shirt. What I did was I warmed up by doing dumbbell presses. So there were some dumbbells there, and I knew that if I got my shoulders warmed up and I got my blood flowing in my muscles, that would be the first way to go. And then I did a couple of reps with the bar, but I closed my grip down a little bit. So I used a closer grip than my competition grip. And I knew that even though that was kind of messing with my sports specific form, that it was going to at least allow me to kind of start turning on my nervous system. And then the last thing that I did was I got my shirt on and I got it kind of warmed up. And then I did a couple of just static holds, pulled the bar out and did some static holds. The downside to this was when I went out to do my opener, I got the bar down, I touched my chest, and I didn't wait for the chest command. I just hit that chest. I knew I got that good rep, and I just pushed it up because I was hoping for some higher numbers, and I really should have waited for that, but it was kind of a spur of the moment decision to not really wait for the pause and just make that kind of my last warm-up rep. So I adjusted that, but at the price of losing a rep. But anyway, that gave me the ability to do really well and really strong on my opening weight for my second attempt. And then my fourth attempt didn't go well. But after all of the things, looking at the totality of the situation and what kind of routines and things I had to do, I had to make a whole lot of adjustments in the warm-up room. And so what I had to do is I had to readjust my expectations. So, and I will get more into that later in the video. Equipment's an important thing to control. So, everybody's got their one go-to thing. I believe in having backup stuff all the time. So for me, it's really a good idea to take a gym bag and have 2 pairs of knee wraps, 2 pairs of wrist wraps. Sometimes I'll even take more than one bench press shirt, because if the one that I plan to use is not fitting the way I want it to, I can go to a different size. Again, you need to know your federation rules and those kind of things, but it's about controlling your equipment as much as you can, and then knowing where those things are that you can be flexible. And that's a big part of this, is knowing the rules and knowing the situation well enough to know where you can adapt and make adjustments and still perform at the level that you want to perform at. So part of the other thing is that navigating the warm-up room can be difficult depending on how many lifters there are. And so you can't get too focused in on kind of having your space and kind of having your stuff. It really takes a lot of flexibility in that. It's the same thing. These things are all the same in your commercial gym. When you get to the commercial gym, if somebody is curling in the squat rack and it's your time to squat, you might have to find something else to do until they're done. That's a time when you might ask them, when they plan on being done, and so you can kind of time that up. But there are a lot of things that you can think in terms of your programming. What can I do to adapt to the situation? And that might even be if you just have to abandon squatting on squat day. What else can you go do? Can you do a trap bar deadlift? Can you do some pre-exhaustion on a leg press, and then work into doing, other exercises? That comes down to being fluent within your exercises. And then, if you just really, really need the squat rack and you're not going to get into it, you might consider making a whole adjustment to coming back at another time. There are some privileges and things like that to having your own home gym, where you don't have to wait for those kind of things. But then the downside is there's a lot of things at a commercial gym, or maybe the group cultural motivations of being in a CrossFit box or something like that is something that you're going to lack. So you need to know what things are really, really important to you, and what things that you can adjust, and how you're going to adjust them, and have a plan ahead of time. This comes with a lot of experience in the gym. And if you're kind of new, you maybe haven't thought about, your exercise fluency. And especially if you have a coach that's writing out your programming, and you're thinking, okay, my coach says all the time, don't deviate from my programming, don't deviate from it. And now here I am at the commercial gym, and I can't get to the deadlift platform, and I need to get to the deadlift platform because I'm supposed to do 5 for 5s at an RPE of 6. And, you have these things lined out. You need to have enough knowledge and be working on your knowledge base to know what the goals are of the programming, and have those clear so that you know how to adjust and still at least approximate reaching those goals close enough that you don't miss out on the whole workout. So again, bring extra equipment with you if you can. I would carry a large gym bag with extra stuff, and I even broke a clasp on a lever belt before. Broke the lever, and was without a belt for the rest of my workout on the day that I did that. That made me start thinking about, should I carry extra belts, or should I maybe get on Amazon and buy an extra clasp and throw it in my gym bag to see if it ever helped. On that kind of a thing, I just decided it's such a rarity. It does happen. I've talked to other lifters that have had the same thing happen, but it's just so rare that it's, maybe not worth the cost and the trouble to do that. So finally, adjusting your expectations. When things don't go your way, we have a tendency to thematize. So you'll see this a lot with baseball players and golfers, that they make a few errors, or they miss a few things early in the game, and now all of a sudden their mind starts to run into a problem-centered thinking, and they start kind of losing faith in themselves. And there's a lot of cultural things in sports that will chalk this up to an unlucky day or a bad streak. Bad streaks really don't exist. Bad streaks are something that we construct in our minds. And it's when we have a couple of things happen that we start believing that those couple of things are part of a larger schema or a part of a larger story. And so it's really, really important that you work on your self-talk and you learn how to adjust your expectations so that when you have a couple of things go rocky for you, or you miss a lift, or you make a mistake that you don't typically do, that you don't turn that into, oh, this is one of those bad days, and you can adjust that expectation back to, well, I didn't have a flawless workout, but what's the next thing that I can do? And this is an important adjustment to make in adjusting your expectations, is saying, rather than going with the strict programming, maybe that I have in my notebook or whatever, how can I do something next after making an error where I can make it a win for myself and turn things around? So even when I talk about turning things around, there's a tend to think that this is like a part of a whole journey, or some bigger story. Turning things around is a metaphor that things have gone the wrong direction. Well, just because you miss a lift, or you don't do something well, or somebody's using equipment that you expected to be able to use and now you can't use, doesn't mean that things are off track or things are going in a wrong direction. You have to change your thinking and start adjusting your expectations to, what can I do? What's the next thing that I can do? So sometimes what I will do is, if I miss a lift, particularly if I'm testing to see if I've really gained some strength and I've done some training for a number of weeks, and now I'm going to test my bench press, or I'm going to test my squat, and I miss it. Or maybe that's a day when I think I'm going to test my lift, and the first couple of warm-up lifts and everything like that feel heavier, and I have a little bit more fatigue than I expected, is to adjust that down and think, well, maybe today is not a good day to test, but maybe I should go to a pretty heavy load and really try and make the form perfect, really try and make it a perfect lift instead of trying to make it a heavy lift or a new PR. So that's been something too, is adjusting that and getting that to be a different expectation can turn things around. So the key to it is looking at, okay, this didn't go right. What's the next thing that I can do? And I can make sure that I can, do it well, and then proceed from that kind of readjustment point. So getting back to competition, you got to have your own readjustment points, and you've got to make decisions, and you've got to make those decisions judiciously. So, and I've done this. I've made too big of a jump on my second attempt at a squat, and if you're in a full power meet and you pick up your second attempt and it's just crushing, you can't step back in the weight at that point. So you're stuck with that amount of weight. And I've had bomb outs before. When I have bomb outs and when I've not done well in a meet, what I try to do is readjust my expectation for the meet, readjust the goal, and try and say, what did I learn from that? What's the plan? In learning from that, what would be the plan the next time that I'm competing and I'm faced with kind of the same circumstances or similar circumstances? So anyway, that is behavioral controls for yourself, is control your equipment, control your programming, and control your warm-up, and control your expectations. And in those things, use a rubber ruler to measure those things so that there's a little bit of flexibility about what accomplishment, achievement, and success means. And remember that no matter what happens, if you learn something from the way things went, it's a win, it's a success. And that's something that you will always be able to use going forward, to be more in control the next time. Thanks for joining Psych Clips. And again, subscribe, hit the bell, and come visit me at phenomenalmindpsychology.com. Thank you.